Hi there, Amy with Firefly Retail Consulting. And today I'm bringing you the third in my 5 video series, the short little videos that with things that you can do to really move into 2018 with the most positive momentum that you can. We want to get you really jump starting 2018, right? So today I want to talk about something that I call good stories versus bad stories. So let me ask you a quick little question. That inner monologue that plays in your head most of the time, is that positive or is that negative? So are you telling yourself good stories or are you telling yourself bad stories? Good stories would be things like, I got this, I can do this. Sure, this problem came up, but I can handle it. And then you handle it, right? So, that good story that you've been telling yourself helps you to do that. So then a bad story would be something like, that darn Amazon, they're, taking all my business. Or maybe it's, that competitor down the street copies every single thing that I do and destroying my business. Or, maybe it's something like, those customers, they just want to return everything. So are you hearing those bad stories? Because and the reason that I ask this is because I have found in talking with lots and lots of retailers over the last decade that the single biggest indicator for whether or not a store owner is going to be successful and have a successful business versus an unsuccessful business is, are they telling themselves good stories or are they telling themselves bad stories? This is the single biggest indicator. Okay, so it's really, really important that you're telling yourself those good stories, because the store owners that tell themselves good stories, they're succeeding. Okay, the store owners that are telling themselves bad stories are failing. All right, so huge, huge importance to this inner monologue that's playing in your head. So take a second, ask yourself that question. In general, are you telling yourself good stories? Now, we all have bad days. So, certainly there are times when, we get off track and we don't tell ourselves good things. And that's okay. That happens to all of us. But I'm talking in general, are you good stories or are you bad stories? Okay. And then if you are more in that bad stories camp, that's kind of where you live, we want to change that, because again, single biggest indicator, I don't want you to fail. And if we can flip those stories around so that you're hearing the more good stories, then that'll make you more poised for being successful, more able to do that. Okay, so the first thing to do here is to recognize that maybe you do tell yourself bad stories more often than not. Okay, so that's the first thing that I want you to do. But then once we've sort of recognized that there's a problem, I just want to give you 3 sort of tips that you can use to, once you recognize where you are, to take a step back and realize that there's another side to this particular story that you may be telling yourself, that there is a way to make it into a good one. Okay, so the first thing here really to strategy that you can use to sort of flip those stories around is to have confidence. Okay, and I know that that's you're like, wow, duh, Amy, of course, have confidence. That sounds really, it's a really easy thing to say, but it's a really hard thing to do, and I totally get that. So what I want to share with you is actually this great definition of confidence that I got several years ago from a guy named Brendon Burchard. If you, Google him, check out his stuff. He has got wonderful, wonderful things on productivity and mindset. But, and I've learned a lot from him over the years, but probably the single biggest thing that I've ever gotten from him is his definition of confidence. And that is, simply stated, your belief in your ability to figure things out. Again, your belief in your ability to figure things out. Okay, that's all confidence is when you really, boil it down, nuts and bolts, that's what it is. Okay, so if you can remember that as you're, feeling like everything's wrong, right? Because that's what negative stories are. If you feel like everything's wrong, having confidence that you can make it right, that you can figure it out, that that goes so far to getting you moved over here. It really, really does. Okay. So that there's confidence. The next thing is a way to feel more in control, because again, bad stories, a lot of what this is about is feeling not in control, right? If we really look at the root cause of why we're feeling this negativity, okay, is not feeling in control. How do you feel in control? The best answer is to have a plan, right? If you don't have a plan, then you're going to feel out of control. But if you create plans for the things that are making you feel stressed out, if you create step by step, write it out, write it down is huge. That again goes a long way to making you feel more in control, which goes a long way to changing those bad stories into good ones. Okay. So that's the second one. The third one, and this is super, super important. Okay. We as human beings were never meant to go it alone. Okay. And so often I see that retailers and retail store owners particularly, it's really, really lonely. And it's really lonely to be the boss. Okay. And so we get stuck in this place where we're all by ourselves and we don't feel like anybody really understands it or understands us and what we're going through. And so we kind of spiral into this, the cycle of these really negative stories. Okay. And if we can share that burden with someone else, if we can have someone else to help remind us of the good things that are happening, and this can be in the form of a mentor. Mentors are wonderful, and we should all actually have a mentor. They're very important. Or another great way to get this sort of support is through like a mastermind group, and just another group of people who are either people who are also retailers, there's value in that, but then people who aren't, so that you can get different viewpoints. Having that sort of mastermind kind of group that really just magnifies the brain power of that you have, because it works exponentially, and that's what a mastermind is all about. It's adding more brains to the pot. The more brains that are there, the more exponentially the more power there is there exponentially. Okay. So those are the three things that I really want you to think about as you're trying to turn those bad stories into good ones. Okay. Make sure that you have confidence, that you're telling yourself that you can do this and you can figure it out, and believe it. Okay. The other one then is to take control. And to do that, you really need to have plans. Make plans, write them down. Okay. And then the third one then is to really seek support. Don't try and do this by yourself. You need support, whether that's a mentor, a mastermind, somebody who understands what you're going through and can help you. Okay. So please, again, as always, leave some comments below for me. Your biggest takeaway. I'd love to hear from you. Tomorrow, I'm going to be talking about open to buy planning. It's one of my great loves. Really kind of my specialty when it comes to retail. And so I'm going to talk with you about that. And then until next time, remember that you do control your retail destiny. You've got this. I have confidence in you. I know you can do this. All right. So until tomorrow.